Welcome to Tiny Hands Big Dreams, here in our off-grid homestead. Let me tell you a quick story, human interest story, and it gets into children and homesteading and just sort of, people always ask about like, oh, what about kids and things? Well, I couldn't do this because I have kids. Well, you should do it with kids. In fact, you should do it for your kids. Mm-hmm. This is different. This is a big sort of change. We're going to talk about Sandia.
Now, to preface, we do live in Ecuador. We do.
It's beautiful.
Been here, what, 3.5 years?
Something like that. Yeah, recommend. Kid and I are down doing something in our road up to here. At one point, crosses a small, they call it a quebrada. It's not a river. It's a big creek. Road crosses it. Anyway, it's pretty. There's water. There's things you can play in it, right? And we're doing something. I think it was after a storm, so it changes a little bit. And we look, and buried down in the river bottom, there's something like color. Like, now there's above that. There's only us, one other family that is newish to their property, and a couple of abandoned houses. There's really nothing like upstream, so we're like, what would have washed down? Like there's really no trash that ends up in there. And we go and we dig it out, and it's a machete. It's a red handle, and it's bent on the tip, and it's badly corroded. How long has this been in the river? Where did this come from? Anyway, and the child immediately looks at it, and because it is like this long, he goes, oh, it could be mine? Because he doesn't have a machete. I have 4 machetes. You have
1 machete.
At least one. Very sharp.
Sure.
And they're tools. We use them. And he immediately just picks it up like, this one could be mine. Look, it's smaller. And I don't know. Like, it's like a big knife thing. Like you're, 9 at the time or something. Anyway, we bring it home. We set it aside. We don't really do anything with it for a while. At some point, I don't know, I guess I got it out, and the tip was all wanged. I took the hammer and I sort of flattened it a bit. I'm like, yeah, that's pretty nice. And I took the grinder and I put an edge on it, and I sanded some of the corrosion off, and we looked at it, we're like, cut with it, we're like, that's a nice little machete. It's small, lightweight, easy to handle. Even the handle was slightly smaller. And then little by little, the child just like started to use it. And like here, and all of a sudden we hear him out one day, and he's just, and he's just going to town. And then like a song came about, and then it started to rust more on the blade. So we're like, we'll throw some paint on it. We'll give it a quick sand, and then we'll paint with it. We don't have a lot of paint left. But we had some old green spray paint. I don't know, the kid wanted it for a Matchbox car. So we take it and we spray the blade just with some quick green paint on just to stop the rust. Well, now we've got a green blade and a red handle, and we're like, looks like a watermelon. And it became Sandia, or Fierce Melon, as it's sometimes called.
Or Mighty Melon.
Or now Mighty Melon. It's changed names a few times. And it's very much become the child's. Now,
the first time I hear him with the machete, the mom in me goes, what?
Just the idea that there's one accessible to him. Right?
I don't really even like using them, to be completely honest. It's not something that we grew up using. It's just not.
It is not.
No.
So culturally, we grew up in the United States. Machetes are not generally a part of United States culture. Pocket knife? Totally normal in most places. You're looked at funny if you have one in a city.
Pocket knife here? Not really ever.
No. Yeah, they're really rare. People are always surprised when I pull one out to cut some tape or a string or something. They're like, oh, you just have a knife on you. I'm like, you're holding a machete. But I have a knife.
Just a knife.
Yeah, it's just like this one. So culturally, and we've talked about it before, you could be walking or driving down the road, and you see people walking on the side of the road. A lot of people walk here, they don't have cars. And you'll see an old woman, and she'll just be carrying a machete, or a dude, and he'll have one, maybe a chainsaw and a thing, and people just walk around with machetes.
Think about it.
At no point am I ever afraid that that is to be used for a bad purpose. It is. It's not done here. At least where we are. Now, there's some other places we've seen people act like straight up monkeys.
That's a totally
and
separate
riot
subject.
and things, and there's machete attacks. That is not anywhere near us.
No, as far as just like on a farm, just existing in rural areas.
Anything within an hour's drive of us, totally normal. People just have a machete. So, but this is abnormal for us. So the kid now has one, and he likes it. So we go out. Yeah, it's his. There's a trust issue there.
But that brings up the conversation of children on a homestead, on a farm. And it's a different way of growing up. It is a whole different set of responsibilities, of consequences, of lessons than living in a city or even, suburban life, which is, I guess, probably the vast majority of everyone.
I would never have been allowed to have a machete where I grew up in the suburbs of California.
Well, no.
And if I walked off my property with it, the cops would have been called.
But even if it isn't a machete, because that is a cultural difference.
Sure.
If you go back to, a lot of kids don't have the responsibility of learning how to properly use a pocket knife.
Yeah.
Or, I'm thinking about all the things that may happen, things that don't necessarily apply here, but like an axe to chop wood or any of those things.
Or to drive a tractor at 9 years old. Or to something, to take care of an animal whose life depended on you doing a job correctly.
That level of responsibility is honestly lacking in most children, and it shows as they get older.
Still on. It does. So it's one of those, the more responsibility you give them, the more that they can take, the more that they understand how to use. And I watch kids who don't grow up that way and then go on to become irresponsible adults who just, now you have to have rules for everything and signs and safety courses and things.
Because they just weren't taught at a younger age. It's so much easier to teach the younger a child is.
Yep.
The more it is just simply part of their existence, the less struggle it is to teach them.
It's true.
So there is always those questions of, well, I'm going to wait until my kids get older before we move or we start a farm or a homestead or we do this or do that. If that's where you're going to be, if that's the direction you want your life to go, you should do it either before you have kids or when they're little. Just my personal opinion.
If your dream is to move somewhere rural and have a like we are, fully off-grid homestead, the I should wait until is generally a bad start to any statement. And if it's because of your children, I would argue, and I think you would argue as well, you're doing it wrong.
Yes. You probably, I guess I would say that you probably are thinking that in completely loving terms, that you don't want, you don't know how that will affect your child negatively. Because there are positives and negatives to everything. There is less, there are not all of the activities that are right at your fingertip. There's not, all of those social things that are very typical of modern life.
There's no local karate class. There's no soccer thing.
There could be, depending on where you are.
Sure.
For us, there is not any of those.
We're so far out of town that would just be a huge hassle.
But you do get all of the benefits. I mean, I can't even think to list all of them. The daily lessons in responsibility. Well, right now I can see him, and he's out there battling bugs, cutting greens to go feed to the pigs. In
and amongst pineapple.
It's all very pokey and unpleasant.
Pineapple is incredibly
sharp and pokey and miserable.
It's like a collection of razor blade spines. It's like cactus.
And is that pleasant? No. Did he just clean a goat house that also is unpleasant? Yes.
Did he also snuggle a small goat under his shirt?
Yes. It's not all bad.
And came back glowing and happy.
So fuzzy. Like, okay.
Did you snuggle a goat under your shirt?
So there are all of these incredible benefits. I mean, there's all the fun benefits, but there's also those lessons that even if they decide to grow up and never set foot on a farm again, the lessons of responsibility, those are things that will apply everywhere in life. And I don't think that there's really a better place to learn that than when the consequences are real. There's not some sort of vague, like...
No, there's very real either. It's going to cause pain. It's going to cause death. It will cause loss.
Grave injury, which, yes, he's had some of. He's learned the hard lessons. We ensure that the injuries are not grave.
Not from the machete.
We will stop the grave injuries.
Permanent damage.
Well, I mean, his finger might be a little weird.
It's better than yours. Doctor fixed yours.
True. But there are lessons. It's real life. And now he has those lessons, and will he make that mistake again? Probably not.
No. He knows not to touch caterpillars.
I know not to touch caterpillars.
He knows how to go, dig a thing of footing for a wall, to cut down a tree, to build a ceiling, to do a thing, to level the ground. How to dig a grave site for a farm animal that died.
Yep. Which is
not always pretty, but you have to understand that you have to be capable of all the thing and not just freak out or cry or tell somebody else to do it. That's it. It's us. It is our job. It's raining, it's dark, it doesn't matter. The responsibility of it's got to get done.
Yeah. And that we work together. And that's something that I think, I know in so many places is not normal anymore, is working together as a family. That is less and less the norm. It
is more the norm to separate the family as much as possible.
You go to work, and you go to work, and you go to school.
And they want you at work more. And they want you at school more, and the school wants to be all of your influence.
Well, and if it's not just school, then it's after school, and it's activities, and it's social media, and it's all
disconnecting
of these influences.
You from your parents in a major way, so they are a minor, small m, influence.
Which is, in my opinion, the complete opposite of what it's supposed to be, and historically has been.
And I don't feel that it was an accident.
Well,
that it has ended up that way.
Yeah.
The way it changes society, the people who are in charge of these things, who plan out how things go. But you can opt out, at least for now. Not everyone. Yeah. I mean, but you can opt out. We did.
Yeah. You opted way out.
I just talked to somebody else who wants to come and opt out 6 months from now, and build a house on a mountaintop and call it a day.
Yeah. So as far as kids on a homestead, is it a good idea?
I think it is. And I've referenced it before. If you've seen our old videos, I talk about the sailing reference. And I will continue to bring it up because I think it's an excellent point that most people don't understand. I almost went sailing around the world. Tons of research, tons of knowledge, of gathering, of experience. We were this close to leaving. Strangely, we didn't. That's a long story. It's a good story, though. But when you look at, and there's a lot of books that talk about people that decided to sail around the world, and they take their kids, or they have kids en route. How did those kids end up? Actually way over the curve, way above the averages everywhere. They are very responsible. They are much more able to interface with all sorts of different people. The conflict resolution, to things, to getting stuff done, to, they don't even speak the same language as the other kids, and they just go out and they're playing and things and something, and they end up in very responsible jobs, and they do very well. But everyone will argue, oh, you can't homeschool a kid on a boat, you can't take them out of this, and they have to play, and they have to be around other kids. All the evidence shows the opposite.
Yeah.
It shows the opposite. The kids who do that, you take your shot, you don't always do so great. But all the ones who were extracted from that, who were raised with that extra responsibility, with the chance to interact with different people, with things, they do really well in life, just as people.
Mm-hmm. Which is the goal.
Is that the goal?
Of raising the children.
So if you love your children, if you want the best for them, but you say something like, oh, we're going to wait until they're older, we're going to wait until they're out of school, we're going to wait until... Why are you doing that to them? And younger is better. I think high school is an awkward time.
Oh gosh, yeah. I think even I think even middle school age.
I would say
preteen, maybe before the hormones affect their ability to properly logic.
Yeah, pre 10, 11, 12.
Oh yeah.
Probably best.
Yeah.
Sooner than later, because then they just grow up with it, and that's just the norm.
It's just easier. It will be an easier and easier transition the younger they are, because there's less previous experience ingrained. So, I'd say do it now.
Do it now. Just go. Which is funny with the same thing the sailing book said. If you look at it, and they say the best piece of advice we have is don't wait. Go now. Don't wait for more money. Don't wait for a certain thing. Don't wait for, well, we're going to do this, and we're going to remodel the house and do a thing, and then we're going to sell it, and then we're going to this, and then we're going to, well, then we're just going to wait for retirement. It's only a few more years and a few more years. See, those people never go. They miss their dreams. Go now. With whatever you have, go. Decide to do it. Go.
Mm-hmm.
And by and large, it ends up very happy. It's a good time. It's a good life.
Mm-hmm.
Pick a good life for your children.
Yeah.
Give them the chance to wander around, like we are, where we're way off grid. Wander around nature. Explore. Play in the dirt. Play with worms. Like, look, I got out, like, oh my gosh, put that down. Or beetles or things. He picks up stuff that I'm like, he's like, no, it's great.
He opened the door the other night. Like, here's a toad. And I'm like, gosh, what a person.
If the crocodile hunter had been raised inner city or suburb, would he have become who he was? No, I don't know actually anything about how he was raised or how he grew up.
But
I'm guessing he wasn't.
I'm guessing.
Because he was comfortable with things in the world and stuff. And he gets time to himself. He gets time to explore. He doesn't... I think it's for the best.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So that's the story of Sandia and how it sort of changed and influenced the way we're raising a child in the edge of the jungle in southern Ecuador.
When you say it like
based
that.
on a thing that we found in the river, which, we do that kind of stuff. We what's trash? Yeah. Is it trash or is it treasure? Could we repair it? Could we rebuild it? Is there some part that's useful, savable, repurposable to something else?
That's a lesson all on its own.
And honestly, that was part of it. Of like, we don't throw anything away unless it's utterly there's just nothing left. Even if it's something broken, like, can we take it apart? Can we use the parts? Can we think about repurposing these parts? Which is another lesson of like, let's use what we have, take it apart, and creatively figure out something more. Yeah, I don't just like kick trash. Like, I guess I look at it and like, oh, I could use that for something. Obtainium, as they say. All right. Well, that has been a Tiny Hands Big Dreams special. Thanks for watching. I try to make her laugh as much as I can. It's part of my job. Subscribe if you haven't. We have more interesting things coming up in the future, and we will see you for the next one.
A wild Eli in his natural habitat, looking for birds.